To
Okay.
You got the new agenda. I mean, Mr. Hill's going to lead us off here in the absence of Mr. Shabazz.
All right. We'll go ahead and call to order the meeting for January 16th at 5 p.m. We have present
Cheryl Ash.
myself, Ryan Hill.
Alana and Jason.
Yep. And is Alex on one by?
You wouldn't have to
Oh,
know that if you don't want to.
Okay. So I guess our first is approval of the agenda. Restore the business.
I move we approve the agenda for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 of the Portage Township Board.
Is that a agenda or minutes?
Oh, that's just the agenda. So moving forward, you approve the agenda at the beginning.
Okay.
All right, that's new. Okay, I'll second.
I vote aye.
Aye.
And this approval.
Okay, and our second order of business is approval of the minutes from January 2nd. I have a chance to look at those, but I don't think that was just the.
They're going to be pretty short.
I move we accept the minutes of the
This is your agenda.
Portage Township Board for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024.
All right, I'll second.
I'm in favor of it.
Did you see the meeting?
Hold on a moment, Jason. Why does this say reorganization meeting?
Yeah, that was just an error in the header.
Oh,
I've updated it in the 30 minutes.
Oh, right.
Just the header.
Second one.
Yeah, no, good catch. All right.
Okay. And then new business. Oh, no.
Well,
public
so we
comment.
start with public comment. Yep, and unless Mr. Bowman wants to speak up.
I actually I'm happy to make a point in the public comment section, just for the board's edification. If you can hear me, okay.
Gotcha.
Part of the discussion here, a way to structure these meetings to allow for maximum public comment, which is provided for under statute. The recommendation, I believe, is to have the agenda essentially open the meeting, the substantive portion of the meeting, with public comments. So if there's anybody in the room, anybody who shows up on Zoom who has something they want to say, this would be the opportunity with the agenda approved for folks to address the board and to make their concerns known. So it's probably a best practice of the board to have public comment immediately after adopting the agenda and before the substantive decisions that the board makes. And so that's kind of how this is structured. And so as we're working through some of these business points and some of the board activities, I wanted to make myself available to the trustee and to the board to help answer any procedural questions or any philosophical questions, for that matter, that maybe arise. And so with that, I yield my time back to the board. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. So say I'm a person, public, and I want to make a comment on E.
Something on the agenda, Alex.
Yeah, that's what
Sure.
I guess I'm asking.
Yeah.
Wouldn't I make the comment after you present it?
So there's really two types of public hearings. There's an opportunity for the public to comment, which townships are a unique creature of statute that require taxpayers to have the right to address the board on items that are before the township's consideration. So that would be an opportunity for someone to comment on that action item at that point in time. Now, that's one hearing. The other is a type that is required by statute. So case in point, the general obligation bond that the township is undertaking by statute, there are certain notice requirements and certain hearing requirements that have to be had on that particular item. Now, so
Mhm.
for that item of business, let's say item E were an action item that required a public hearing by statute, then it would be appropriate for the board to introduce item E, perhaps have a little something to say about it, and then open up for discussion on item E alone, if there were any public comment that were to be heard. So that's how the two public meeting requirements blend together. So like on this agenda that the board has adopted, there are no items that require by statute a public hearing. And so the board doesn't need to entertain public comment on each item. That would be an opportunity during this section 5 for the public who has looked at the agenda to have something to say.
Okay, I guess the problem I have with that is if this is what is made for the public, right? And I guess I would see at some point I could see in EDC, whatever, Jason would make a comment, the board people might ask a question. And then it seems the only way you can kind of make a comment is after you heard what's been said.
Well, so I think I see your point there, that if there is, when the board has discussion, so on an item that the board is asked to take action on, that after its introduction, that the board may have discussion, and then the board may look to the public for the public's comment on it, I suppose. Is that?
Yeah, I think, Alex, I think a little bit of our confusion or the board's confusion is we're used to seeing, for instance, the county council during their public comment portion will not allow you to speak during that time on any item that is on the agenda because you speak on that item at that time.
Sure.
So it sounds like what we're saying here is this public comment portion is people can speak on anything they want. And then if we got down to resolution 2-2024, and after we were done discussing it, if the board chair saw some people here that wanted to talk about it, he could then offer public comment on it at that time, at the board's discretion.
Okay.
That would, yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think that would be true. That would be true. Remember that townships are a little different than your county government as far as
Right.
how public comment is to be entertained. The part of what we want to do as well is to provide really clear guidance for those who are sitting in the room or are members of the public, for them to participate if they so desire. And so that's where I think it's important to adopt a consistent practice where folks who come in are able to say, this is my point, this is the time of the meeting where I have my opportunity to make my voice heard, and so I shall. And that's what's provided for in that public comment section. But to Jason's point, if the board chair in entertaining business wanted to invite someone to comment, that would be in the discretion of the chair, keeping in mind that creates a lot of discretion it puts a lot of discretion in the chair as far as when additional comments are heard. And so you may well have some people who walk away feeling as though they weren't heard because that discretion wasn't exercised, if that makes that's kind of what we're
that's what I'm having problems with. I can understand number 5 because somebody might want to comment on how nice this new building is. Okay, but I think anything that has to be voted on, I don't care what per se the law says, I think there should always be a chance for people to comment on anything we have to vote on.
Well, I think the idea, Cheryl, is we share the agenda at a time, and if someone's going to come to the meeting, they're going to come to talk about something probably. So They can do that at the beginning before we start the discussion. So our discussion includes an understanding of that issue. But we can also, if someone's, here for that reason, we can follow up our discussion with further public comment.
Right.
So it's actually giving 2 opportunities for those.
But it's at the discretion of the board chair, and I don't think it should be at the discretion of the board chair. I think anything,
You're welcome to yell at Mohammed.
I should think that should be our way we operate. If it's something we vote on, then people have a chance to comment there.
I think what's
Also.
important is what everything you're saying is on record now, and I think the whole point in general is whatever you decide to do is what you decide to do.
You have to be consistent.
Correct, yeah. Correct.
So I'm saying we can't this month take comments on C and next month don't take comments on C. So we have to decide.
Well, I feel like our general policy would need to be if someone's in the room, right, they would have the ability to comment on issues, so.
And not just
before we-
on number 5 comment, but comment on E, D, or C.
Right, but I think that's what this says. Isn't
No,
it?
it's at the discretion of the board chair. I love you, Mohammed, but you know how that goes sometimes.
I mean, would you prefer then just that it said comments are, we need to have an opening for public comment after each item?
That we vote on.
I don't see a problem with that.
Well, the reason why I don't say a policy or a problem with that is because, I mean, if I wanted to make a public comment, I would definitely want to hear what you guys said first.
Yeah.
Before I decided to make my public comment, because say that I'm against something on the agenda, right? But
No, I follow.
because it hasn't been explained.
I think, I mean, the unfortunate thing is we're sort of ahead in the agenda. We're describing the policy during our public comment portion.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. That's why I'm just kind of like, it's okay. We're there now. So Alex, it sounds like what the board is leaning towards is an amendment towards the policy that at least has a statement in there that the board will allow public comment after agenda items. As, I mean, you might have to wordsmith it, as necessary or as.
After an agenda item is discussed
As
before it's
attendance.
voted on.
I mean, we wouldn't want to stop in an empty room and say, is there public comment, after
Right.
everything, but so maybe
We do
you
that.
word it as.
Every meeting.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Now,
not for-
and we keep, like we
Only when
said,
we have
there are,
statutorily required.
Hmm.
Yeah.
we did, and we had this experience with the public hearing on the general obligation bond, where
Right. That's
there
special.
are some items that will come before the board that statute requires the board open a public hearing, whether somebody's in the room or not. Like we said, the agenda today doesn't include any items that require that type of hearing. However, there have been and there will continue to be such items that the board will have to consider. And so in that sense, yes, even if the room is empty, the record has to reflect that a public hearing. was
No,
held.
I realize that, but does the policy need to I mean, the policy here, I'm not seeing it says that you can't do what Cheryl's describing.
Right.
So maybe you don't need a change to this.
No, if anything,
Or ask them.
part of what the public comment guidance, the policy.
This is
we're
more
looking at-
decorum. This looks like more decorum.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
correct.
But I don't
If
like it.
anything, the substantive change to the agenda at this point is the introduction of a formal public opportunity that I don't believe was part of the agenda in meetings past. That's about the only substantive change.
Okay, I guess
So
my,
if they wanted to, they could allow comment after a, say,
Yes.
resolution. Okay.
but see, that's what I don't like.
You
Okay,
don't like that he could prevent comments.
right. By not saying you're gonna have the comments.
Right.
Well, but that's what I mean. Whatever you say is what, I mean, that's just, you have that power.
No, actually, it has to go through the chair.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The chair already, he has that power innately by statute. So that's what.
But if
whatever
the
your
chair
policy is
says
going to be.
no,
Right,
and 2 of us say yes,
correct,
then it's not done.
correct. But that's what I'm saying. That's what we can't change, but you can adopt your own policy. So if you say right now,
Our
if someone's in the room,
policy,
our policy is if somebody is in the room, I mean, we're on record. If somebody's in the
Right.
room to speak on it, that's what we're gonna do. So then if he were to say no in the future, that person can come and say, well, you said you were going to allow it.
well, that's what I want.
Well, I mean, I personally.
I feel like you can do what you want to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I wouldn't really, I do want to cut people off after 3 minutes. I mean, after.
No, yeah, they get 3 minutes, I thought.
Would moving public comment to the end of the meeting
That's what I
satisfy
thought.
this?
That's what I was
So
thinking.
instead of the whole debate here, it's just move the public comment to the end.
Well, see, I want it to be before we vote on something.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Same, so you get back to the same thing.
That's all I'm saying is I want it so if it's a resolution, whatever, then,
I mean, I think it's pretty simple to just say that before we vote on something, we should just open for public comment on that issue.
right.
I
And
can note that in the minutes. I can note it in the
yeah,
minutes.
3 minutes, and it's not up to the chair to make the decision. It's automatically done.
Yeah, well, it's become part of, discussion. You know
Right.
how we have discussion then.
Right.
Then.
Then at the end of our discussion, they
they can have
discuss.
discussion.
Okay,
I'll add that in
Up
the
to 3
minutes,
minutes.
that the board will allow public comment after, or before voting on agenda items. as
right,
well.
right.
To 3 minutes.
Yeah, per the policy. And just
Right.
per the policy, so then all the other decorum.
I'd like
Okay.
to change that from allow to encourage. Sounds better.
Wordsmith.
Well, I don't see any public comment if you're taking back to the chair.
Yeah,
So we can
Mohammed.
maybe move on to new business.
All right.
I mean, it was a good discussion. It was just a little ahead of the game. Under new business, we are, this is going to sound funny again, but we are statutorily required to conduct a Board of Finance meeting, where we will review the township investments from 2023. Before we do that, we have to elect a president and secretary. I would suggest opening up nominations for both.
I nominate Mohammed to be our president and Ryan to be our secretary.
Nice. Good job, Cheryl.
I need a second.
All right, second.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll get your business cards printed up for you. You have our investment report. We are invested in 2 locations. Actually, we're only invested in one. PNC is our local bank, and they hold that's our operating money in and out. Checks are written from there. And then we use Indiana Trust, which is a state government facility through the state government. And the report you see there is our average yield for the year of 2023, January through December. Beginning balance was 509,000. We did a withdrawal of 100 on February 1st. There was a little bit of a inner panic that we had at the time that we thought we didn't have enough money in the PNC bank account to cover checks. As you recall, we get our property tax levy twice a year. So whatever we have in December needs to last us till June. It was probably, we were probably fine, but we were being a little conservative there. So we did pull that, draw that money down, but we left the remaining in there. And as you can see, we still earned a great deal of interest, 5.04%, 21,000 on that money. Then the rest of our money earns a much lower interest rate sitting in PNC's checking account. But that's our only investment. Any questions?
So I take it if you thought we should do some more investing, you would let us know.
I would let you know. Yeah, I mean, this is what sort of is the standard. You just throw it in there, not the higher yield, safe place to put it, basically bonds. So basically bond bank. Your next item was the board meeting comment policy, which it sounds like I've got the minutes to reflect here, the changes or just noting that policy of the board. But then the rest of this, as you said, just sort of speaks towards decorum. Should we get any public comment in the future?
No, we don't need a
There's no vote on that one, no. Just,
Okay.
how many of you want to? We could take a board, or we could take Alex, do we take a vote to adopt the policy or?
I think you should. I think since the board will hear
Okay.
the public comment, the board should adopt the policy.
All right.
So hearing their amendments earlier to that policy and then,
Yeah, I make the motion that we accept our public comment policy with the
notation.
the notations that were added in.
I second.
Any, I mean, that was a whole lot of discussion. Like,
It was good.
In the wrong place.
It's all right, though. It's all right. We knew you were gonna do that.
So now we move on to resolution 02/2024, the Township Board Remote Attendance Policy.
Yeah, this one also comes from Township Council. It's a little bit of a housekeeping one. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Well, we did ask this because as we're going to now Zoom, of the allowance of Zoom meetings, it would be a good idea for the board to adopt a resolution on what your policy is going to be. And if you have questions, you can direct them towards Alex. But from what I understand is this is mimicking what the governor's order is on these, which means the most substantive thing is, in my opinion, is a quorum must exist in person.
Michael, two have to
So
be
two
here.
have to be here,
Yeah.
otherwise it's not a meeting. But other than that, if you want to join by Zoom, you just need to let me know ahead of time.
Right,
And we need to be able to see and hear you for you to vote.
Okay,
Otherwise, you
right.
can't vote.
right,
So
okay,
those-
gotcha.
in my opinion, those are the biggest things, Alex, unless there's something else.
No, I think that's accurate. This policy also, so this tracks pretty closely with what the statute is on remote meeting attendance. There's been some revisions to that since COVID, so that to make it so there, like Jason said, there is that two-person requirement. That's not as onerous with political bodies that have more folks in it, but as a three-person board, your quorum is your quorum, and at least two of you got to be there, and that's the way that works. This also contemplates the technology that the township has implemented with the electronic meeting with Zoom, with the OWL, with the recording. There's a statute that the legislature has enacted that will become effective in July of 2025 that requires the township to make its meetings available online, both live and in archive. The township is already pretty much on its way to do that. I believe that this is essentially checking that box. That is also contemplated in here so that the township is aware that it needs to adopt a remote communication platform like this Zoom that allows for everyone to be heard and seen. The only other qualifier I'll add to that, Jason, is statute requires that even if you are heard and seen, there are certain actions that the board takes that cannot be done remotely. And that is adopting a budget, reducing personnel, initiating a referendum, exercising eminent domain, or establishing a tax. Those are the things that the board cannot do with one of you remotely. And that's
Any of those things we can actually do?
So we can do,
Yeah, we just did the bond.
yeah. So there's a shorter list. There are some other things in there that are applicable to other political subdivisions, levying fees, penalties, things that the township isn't statutorily empowered to do. But in any event, those are things that if you've got two of you sitting there can do it. The third person, there's even some guidance from Luke Britt, the public access counselor, that suggests that if one of you is remote at a hearing where a budget is to be adopted, no action can be taken on the budget. I don't know if I fully agree with that interpretation of statute, but that's where some of the guidance has gone. So board beware that those particular items require everybody to be there.
okay, so in order to do something with the budget, the other person shouldn't come in remotely.
That's what he's saying. Well,
Right, that's what I'm, yeah,
adopting the
okay,
budget, maybe additional appropriations.
right.
Yeah.
Just don't show up.
We'll probably have to, yeah. Well, you
Basically.
can listen, but maybe not
Right.
vote. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
good point. We'll take care of those.
Can we get a list of those things that all three of us have to be here for? Like, wait a minute, we might come up with something new.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
go
the
ahead.
reason I'm asking this is I'm gonna get my shoulder replaced sometime in the spring. And depending on where it is, it wouldn't want me to vote on something because I will be on painkillers. And so I would need to know if there's something all three of us have to be here for.
Well, I think the idea though is
I
like
would let you know for sure.
two of us have to be here.
But as long as it's two, we're
Correct.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There are the list of things that the board has to adopt by a three-person unanimity is incredibly limited. So as long as there are
Okay.
2 people there, the board has
Okay.
to conduct business, and that's sufficient.
All right, so I already move on to resolution.
This one needs an adoption.
Yeah, I'll motion to,
Okay,
at the resolution 13224.
I second.
all in favor?
Uh,
All right.
This one is one that Alex suggested we do. This is something that is now allowed where you can, I'm sorry.
I actually said the wrong one there. I said this one. I meant the,
Oh, that's okay. We knew what you meant. So just for clarity, resolution 3-2024 is a resolution designating official website of Portage Township. What this allows us to do is there is occasionally times with usually budget related that we have to do a written advertisement in 2. If the statute wants you to do 2 periodicals that are in the township, we don't have 2. So we often will just do the South Bend Tribune and the Granger Gazette or Mishawaka Enterprise. This would actually allow, if you would designate the township website as the official website, we could do the South Bend Tribune and just put it up on our website, and that would count as the second. I think that was the main reason for this one.
Well, I had talked with Jason about that, and as long as we always do it in the Tribune, it's okay with me to do this second one, or the first one is the website, and the second one is the Tribune.
The Tribune will always be done, yeah.
It once again is always a best practice, particularly with the technological capacity that the township has to make its public notices available, and what this particular statute does, again, addresses not only the circumstance that Jason described, but also there are some limited occurrences under statute that require multiple publications of the same notice. So one notification on the 1st and another on the 10th before a meeting on the 18th, kind of thing. This allows for that second notification to be published on the township's website. So presumptively to help reduce the cost and the burden on the township of having to make that second notice.
And if we felt like it was something that it was important enough that it needed to be in more publications, nothing stopping us from doing that.
No. Yeah, of course.
All right, I make a motion to approve resolution 03-2024.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution passed.
Okay, so we have a community services agreement in here. This is something that the requirement I was not aware of, this is something we should be doing. Otherwise we would have been doing them earlier, but these don't require a board resolution, but it would be good practice for the board to essentially give for it to be presented to the board and for the board to sort of effectively sign off on the trustee entering into a community service agreement. So this one is with La Casa. We've had several meetings with La Casa, and they're eagerly awaiting this. Basically, what we would like to do is expand our outreach in the Hispanic community and be able to provide them additional resources, additional help. So what we would like to do is transfer $20,000 to them for them to do utility and rent assistance to the folks that are visiting their site that they're familiar with. Their caseworkers will come and train alongside our caseworkers. This requires them to do quarterly reporting to us on some just sort of reasonable metrics. We don't want to scare off sort of applicants, but just household size, income, if there's any denials, why did they deny them? How much money did they give each household? What zip code, the kind of basic stuff we're collecting is what we'd like to do with them on this. Also, this would allow us to, if someone comes in here and they're really struggling, even with the tools at our disposal on speaking English, we can send them over there and they'll do the translation on the spot for us. And they can do our application process. So they would not be following our application process, but they would be following our standards.
Okay, so my next question, I guess the only question I have is could they use some of that $20 for medicine if they had to, or would they interview us for us? And then once it got all okayed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Send
no,
it
they
to us.
they could do the medicine. They will be cutting the checks.
Okay.
So they would use these funds to do that. But yes, medicine, anything
Anything we're already
yeah,
approving.
anything that we are
Okay,
that we're doing, but they have the ability to do in a more effective and efficient manner.
Right, and we eliminate the language issue.
Yes, and the overcome the barriers of just the trust issues. We're seeing this as a long-term thing with La Casa that we would like. So Portage Township would be present in La Casa as well, a caseworker staff, so that the idea is over the long term, that community would become familiar
More
and
comfortable.
trust. Yes, comfortable. That's the word. Be more comfortable working with Portage Township, and maybe this wouldn't be necessary in the future, but La Casa is super excited. In fact, they just emailed me and like, where are we at with that? And I said I was presenting with the board. So thank you to Alex for his help on getting us to where we are. But
I'd still like to see though that you're trying to get someone in the office here that actually can, be representative for the Hispanic community as well.
Yeah, that'd be
in the
nice.
future. I hope this isn't an alternative to that. It's one of my concerns.
well, the board wants to give me some more dough. I'll hire some folks.
The other thing is, are they still required to essentially run by our guidelines, right? Like, because I know one of the big issues is obviously we have the income base, but also like other state guidelines.
They would not be following our guidelines, but they would be working alongside of us and following. They would not be subject to the same standards we are, but they would follow our same processes.
So they'd have a little more flexibility than we would, basically.
They would just follow whatever, that they're familiar with doing.
Okay.
Well,
Because we're cut off from doing a lot of that, so I think that.
That's what I'm wondering, like,
Like,
is this a way for them to be able to
like-
help people we can't?
Yeah.
well, like I said, I think that after the first 6 months, probably not even that, okay? But after the first 3 to 6 months, we'll know any modifications we have to.
Yeah, that's what's great. We're gonna be working really closely with them. So you're exactly right, Cheryl. We'll know as things move along, do they need more support in this area and that area? Yeah. It'll be great. If there's money left over at the end of the year, this is only good for 1 year. So we can re-up the agreement. Any money that's not used, they return to us, or we decide.
And then we can reallot it every year,
Yep, or we can add to
Okay.
it, do more. Yep, maximum flexibility for the township.
right? I mean, if we get the basic demographics, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in here, we actually specify quarterly reporting.
Right. And
It's
then,
pretty fair.
I don't have any problems.
I don't have any problem. We don't even vote on this, do we?
I think we can do a vote. Alex? What do you
Yeah,
think?
the statute requires board consent, so I think a vote that's reflected in the minutes would be sufficient.
Thank you.
Well, I move
I
that,
consent. We just gotta consent.
so, okay.
Oh, then you could do it. Okay, do it democratic way.
Okay, we'll make a motion to approve the community service agreement with La Casa de
I
Amistad.
second.
Any discussion? I consent.
Board consents. All right, let me write that down.
Oh, I gotta
The one-
sign?
You got all three, did you see Mohammed, right? Sure.
I didn't even notice.
They didn't notice your pens.
I know that the
Which is people, they got it.
Yeah, well, I'm taking this one with me.
You go right ahead and read it.
No, Alex isn't here. He doesn't see the pen. We.
They laugh, but-
No, I don't.
You know it's bad, yeah.
I just remembered someone asked
You
me.
have another one? Is that the last one you have?
No, I don't want it.
No.
Oh, no, that's it. Yeah, I already signed the first two.
You don't do the service agreement. Okay.
Yeah, that's just the one that was previous.
Okay, we have no old business.
Okay.
So trustees report, you have the usual reports here and they've been emailed. These are through the end of the year then. So hats off to Lana for doing what she can here, making the budget work through the end of December. These are our about 34% increase in assistance from 2022.
Well, where was the biggest? Which I
Rent.
think rent, that's what I,
Rent, for
Absolutely.
sure.
that's what I was reading.
Yeah, but both in people, almost 4,000 people versus 3,500 the year before. And then really in dollars, 565,000 versus 427.
But I'm not surprised because rent is going sky high in this area.
That November was quite a hit. I did not see that come as much. January this year is going to look kind of ugly because we had a lot of payments come in. We did a lot of rent payments this first week of January, so they might have been for December, but we'll talk to that at the next meeting.
So something, I was looking at this and I couldn't figure out, like, this doesn't look like it's broken. Oh. you got the other side.
Oh, I can see right quick.
Yeah, there it is.
All the funds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Double side, you're printing your.
Okay.
So I actually had a question yesterday at the table where someone asked if we can support people who are having issues with like a mortgage payment.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
prefer not to, but I mean, just.
If it
It
happens.
gets tricky, but it happens. We get a couple a year.
Okay.
It's an asset, so it gets kind of weird, but we just treat it like we do rent.
Yes.
The real problem becomes, we hate it just because you're usually dealing with a mortgage company then, so it's not a landlord sending the voucher back.
And they can
Bank
be
of
in another
America.
city and.
It's really difficult to nail someone down,
I see.
Yeah,
but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a minor thing. Can you put an S on the end of clerk?
Oh, yeah.
Because every month
Good call.
Cheryl looks at it and she goes, I need this job for 78,000.
you need both. Yes, ma'am.
And then I ask him every month, is it just one clerk? And Jason says, no, it's not just one clerk, Cheryl.
So that's everything there.
So
Oh, sure, yep.
So a quick question, under clothing, I'm going to assume we won't do like we did this last time with clothing and coats. It would just be through the regular?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Clothing will probably go up again because they'll be now able to go get them themselves, but we'll still, I'd still like to do the coat giveaway.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine with me. I
okay.
just was asking.
was
But we
really
can
good.
do it out of admin. We'll just, as we get closer, figure that out.
Right, okay.
Yeah. School uniform, same thing. It'd be nice to do something like that.
Is the growth in food and non-food, is that mostly from the baby program?
Good question. Cheryl asked the exact same thing. No, yes and no. And the reason I say that is it's because the caseworkers, people don't tend to come in here and asking for food assistance. They might tag it on to something else, but very often it's the caseworker that offers it. So we really just sort of came in and encouraged the caseworkers to do that more.
Mhm.
You remember you were talking about the days before, they would do a day of food or a couple days of
Right.
food, and we just stopped doing that. And it was, we just do 4 weeks usually of food or 2,
Right.
if they know their card's coming or something like that. So it's really more of the office encouraging it, but you're right, more opportunities for it. The baby essentials is certainly something the caseworkers love once they hear that.
Mhm.
They hear that the person has, kids in diapers, they'll say, oh, by the way, would you like some diaper assistance, that kind of stuff, and nobody says no, so.
Out of curiosity, at some point, would you be able to count like food separated from non-food?
Is it not?
How hard is that?
It's all under the same account, but
Oh, is it?
I'm just
and
curious.
Unfortunately, we do actually, I can tell you, yes, I have that report.
Okay,
I can tell you, yes,
Okay.
it's just not in the budget that way.
right, okay.
Yeah, but yes,
Okay.
I can pull it up right now, actually. Give me a second. I track it.
And then the last question I get, and this has to do again with the baby stuff. Do you have any rough idea, is for people who qualify for it? When you mention it, do most people take it?
Yeah.
Okay,
For sure.
maybe 5% of the time, yeah. It's really rare that they say no.
Like I said, they do sometimes, but it's not the majority that come here applying for it.
no, I know.
And it's not just the caseworkers. I should give Jamie and Jeannie credit because they'll offer it at the window. If they see the person has a baby or like,
Right.
we do this too, or we're
Yeah,
running this
right.
program, they end up
Right.
being very essential for that. So on our food, non-food difference, the end of the year would have been, it's actually pretty close. So that's interesting. Food was 14,400 and non-food was 10,800.
Okay.
Slight difference in the numbers because what I'm tracking is the vouchers that we actually, that we give out.
You mean the ones we've given out or the ones?
We've
we've
done that amount in vouchers.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily mean. they go
The
use them
vouchers,
and we'll
they
make it
use
come
them,
back.
okay.
So my assistance numbers are always gonna be higher than the budget numbers, same with rent. Some landlords won't send the voucher back.
Well, I can tell you, I'm gonna be recommending, for some of the people I see and work with to come and hit up township for clothing. Okay, St. Vincent has a new way to get clothes now. You have to do it online.
Mm,
You have to download your documents, and send them online,
Mm.
and you only get $20 worth of clothes.
Oh, wow.
Which, if you're going to Goodwill, see, a pair of pants is $6.99. You know what I mean? You'll be
Yeah.
lucky if you can
It's an
get,
outfit or two.
huh?
It's like an outfit or two at Goodwill.
Barely
Is that
one and
is
a
that one
half.
Person or is it a household or?
No, it's one person.
Okay.
$20 per person.
Yeah, we doubled that, yeah.
Yeah, so I can see you may get hit with clothing more.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we'll see. I've got it differentiated. I can tell you in January of last year exactly how much we did food versus non-food.
Okay.
So, yeah, great question. Let's see, facilities update. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go for it. Go for it. We're still in your report.
Facilities update. I don't really have an update since it's been, we're expecting final bid estimates. Sorry, my dinner date is coming up with the health department. We're expecting final bid construction estimates here this week, actually today. I was expecting them, but construction won't start until April. So bidding would start in like March.
The only thing,
For,
133 billion.
only two things on that, and I'll just thought of it is, one, can we have a switch on the outside
Oh,
for
yeah.
people to open
yeah.
doors?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
And my last one is, can we make sure we have a plug for the freezer so
Oh,
we can
yeah.
do the cultivate?
Yeah. Actually, I talked to them about
What's
doing
that
it
called,
here
the
and they
community
didn't think
fridge?
this would be an ideal location, but they said
Right.
they're expanding the program so to keep in contact.
Okay.
and it's the community fridge, right?
Yes, no, when you get the meals,
Okay. They just come help themselves.
and so people could come in and,
Yeah, I guess it's a little out of the way over here.
yes, it is.
I think the program is just starting and they're hoping it expands.
And
There's a lot for them to do.
We have,
yeah.
we
They've
have
got one at Notre Dame, they've got one over in NNN, they've been doing them.
Yeah.
But they're planning to go really a
So, yeah,
lot
they really want to
bigger.
expand it. Yeah.
Chris is in the waiting room.
I can't see that. I left my glasses at home.
So, that was all of our facilities update. The fire territory update is moving along. There will be a change. The board will be required to have meetings on that over the next couple of months. But I don't have a ton of details. We had a meeting last week to discuss, to sort of gauge the temperature of, getting center, on board in Lakeville, but it sort of remains to be seen on what that's going to look
Right,
like.
but it's looking at other territories coming in and we be one big territory, right?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
ideal. It could be, it might, I mean, if the other if the other entities don't agree, it might just end up starting with us and Warren.
Okay.
I hope not,
Mhm.
but it's really up to them. Ryan's been very involved in all that. Then you have our holiday schedule. I got a recommendation from Cheryl to ask the staff if they'd like to move Juneteenth to a weekend. Appreciate you thinking of them that way. I absolutely will bring that up at the next staff meeting. And I think I know what their answer is going to be. So.
Well, they get off work at noon on.
Well, she's right. It
on
just jumps
Friday.
out. It's Wednesday. It's like the only one on here.
Yeah, Wednesday was the only one, and I figured either a Monday or a Friday or something.
She just, so for everybody's for edification, Cheryl suggested asking the staff if they'd rather celebrate, if they would rather have the recognition of Juneteenth on a Monday or Thursday of that week,
You could also.
or
make
Monday
it-
or Friday.
You could also make it a floating holiday.
You can make Juneteenth a floating holiday?
Well, just-
That's what they did when they first put it out, because
I've
they,
seen that.
they
Martin Luther King
came,
Day started like
they
that.
came
too.
out, like after.
Like if you don't want to celebrate it, but you
Right.
still get a day off, you
Right.
can choose when you have it.
My whole thing is it makes no sense to have it in the middle of the week,
Mhm.
okay?
Well, Christmas is different because it's Christmas.
And every place
The
is
post office
closed.
will be closed. Well, the post office is closed now for Juneteenth. It's federal.
Yes, they are.
It's actually policy in Japan for midweek holidays to be moved to Monday.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So that
It's
just,
a good policy.
yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple other businesses. So we haven't scheduled our next board meeting. We haven't set a schedule. We've been kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. Our annual report, that gets published in the newspaper and the board has to review and approve. It's underwhelming, if you recall. It's just like that couple lines. That is due by that February 20th, which is the third Tuesday. So I would prefer we not have it on February 20th because this is a hard and fast date. So I was thinking February 13th. For the next
Second Tuesday.
second Tuesday. Well, that would be the fire
Is
territory.
that gonna be a conflict?
Well, so we could keep it short and do it at 4. That we can't make it at 4.
It's just,
Tight.
it's tight. Right, so I would have to leave right at 3:30 to get here like right around 4.
Well, what about Wednesday? Well, it's Valentine's Day. I don't know.
And Ash Wednesday. Catholics.
Okay, Ash Wednesday. Let me-
We're not doing that to your wife.
We could go the Monday of that week. I just would prefer to do a week before it's due, just in case something happens.
Yeah, I mean,
The
I am
12th is on Monday.
I'm pretty flexible. I mean, 5 o'clock always works for me.
Okay.
What is your schedule?
Would it be a
12th
long
look like?
meeting? Like.
It would be our regular meeting, but we could keep the agenda quick.
Okay, if we do the 12th, I might have to shoot out because that's the day I work at Dismas. And it's only because I usually have students who come to cook, can't cook.
Just remember, you're being recorded.
I know. I whisper.
Hurt their feelings.
And so 5 o'clock,
5 o'clock works for me.
and then if I had,
Monday, the 12th.
Okay.
12th at 5. Okay, I'll advertise
Okay.
that. And then unfortunately, you'll be getting an email from me, Ryan, coming in complaining about meetings. And I was like, oh, man. Unfortunately, you'll be getting an email from me here in an hour, just as a reminder that there actually is another required meeting for the fire territory. Every year, as you recall, the entire township board has to get together and also review the annual report. They've asked to schedule that for January 30th. And I will tell you, oh boy, I should have ran this by her. She's sitting here now. If we had our annual report done by January 30th, we could also quickly approve it there, and then you don't have to meet February at all. But I don't know if that's possible.
See you in a few minutes, Lana.
Yeah,
Stick with the fire territory meeting. I need at least 2 people.
there is no 30th of
I'm
February.
sorry, January. Unfortunately, it's a couple weeks away.
What time is that?
5 p.m. at the fire station.
Okay. Which fire station?
Ours.
Okay, Fillmore. Okay,
So 5 p.m. The joint,
I can take that bypass for that one.
very,
yeah. So sorry about that. One more meeting in January. I know it's been a lot,
okay.
especially for Ryan and I.
So that's, okay, Tuesday, the 30th,
Yep, 5 p.m.
trustee Fillmore Road.
Yes.
Okay, so just so I can make sure I understand, on January, whatever it was, I'm in January now. Wait a minute, where was it? What were we meeting? Oh, it was February.
Well, this one is January 30th,
Okay, I got
and then
that.
we're going to meet February 12th at 5 p.m. as our
Okay.
regular board meeting.
Okay. Okay. And it's here,
Yes.
okay,
All of our meetings will be.
here.
for the-
I just gotta write down here. So, is there anything on this 12th where you have to have everybody? 3 people have to
I
vote?
just need a quorum, yes.
Okay.
For review and a consent of the,
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna be here, but if push on the shove, I'd have to leave.
absolutely, yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get someone to
Move
pick.
that up then. Like if she has to leave early, we could move that.
The 12th?
Well, not the date itself.
But anything we have to vote on?
You have to vote on the annual report.
So we should start the meeting off with that first.
Yes.
Okay, then
Yeah, we
that
can
that
do
would
that.
be
Yeah, we'll lead
fine.
off the meeting with that, yes.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't following. All right.
I actually wanted to ask Jason if you had any contact with the people that are doing the United Way for One Roof and all that.
Well, I know the United Way folks. They don't have an executive director yet, but One Roof's a building. I've been over there.
I was just thinking it might be good to have something there.
Yeah, we could. It's
I haven't been in yet though, because it's always.
yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, it's very nice. But yeah, absolutely. I've got a meeting actually. I don't know if they're there, but all the utility assistance providers are getting together next week just to compare notes. St. Vincent's, Croc, us.
Okay,
We're gonna start doing that a little bit more
that's
regularly.
good.
Yeah. And then there's a monthly meeting that we have that In Focus puts on. That's all of the social service agencies get together once a month. It's
Those kind of meetings, could you throw something together for us with what happens at those?
I could, but
Yeah.
it's been just every meeting, like 4 organizations come and present about who they are and what they do. And then the rest is really like networking. There's no like, I mean, I can forward you the stuff.
Could
that they
you?
put together? Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna make sure Dismas
You
knows.
guys can go. I mean, I'll just send you when it is too.
If you would, I
That'd be
would,
helpful.
Yeah, it's
I
8
would
a.m.
appreciate it.
Wednesdays.
only because, outside of my duties here, I do volunteer work with people coming out of prison.
We're all active in it.
Yeah, so
Sure.
it would be helpful for me.
Yeah, Dismas is, yeah, Maria's
There.
yeah, she's there. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, you guys are free to go to meetings. But yeah. All right, that is all I have.
So I guess we're done.
Anybody got anything else?
Anybody? I motion that the meeting adjourned.
Second. I go,
Aye.
I have to go jump my car.
All right.
Still not starting.
Bye,
My,
Alex.
my.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
Was frozen.
Thanks, buddy.
I couldn't